The knowledge of the truth transforms the humankind, makes it more docile, makes it more intelligent, and allows it to reach wisdom and immortality. Jesus said it in another way when he said, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." That's why that arriving to this second code of the logic of logic, what universal and perennial is, it is necessary that we understand what the knowledge of the eternal truth really means. That's why I'm going to take this code in parts, so that I can explain it in the best way to understand the depth of its meaning. The first thing I must remind you is that the knowledge of the logic of logic is extraterrestrial. That means that it isn't subject to any reasoning or conjecture of anyone on this planet who claims to have the truth. It is not like this. The logic of logic comes from the highest spheres of creation. Those in charge and who seek the inner awakening and the intellectual and spiritual development of man on this planet. It was delivered by Gabriel, who is the same one who announced to Mary that she would be the mother of Jesus, even which religions have appropriated, but which really corresponds to an extraterrestrial contact, with whom it would come again in the decade of the 70s and would introduce himself as Krishnamurk before the contact here on planet Earth, who received this knowledge firsthand. This fact, as well as the message received, was written in the book UFOs, A Great New Dawn for Humanity. And although this contact didn't understand or comprehend this knowledge, it would serve as a bridge to finally reach the interpreter and resuscitator of the truth, indicated in the prophecy of the country of the north of the south, the one who would give its interpretation and diffusion so that today it reaches you all. And this is where we need to begin to understand how the knowledge is universal and perennial. Knowledge is universal and perennial. The master is the interpreter. He or she communicates it and spreads it. It is because it is the knowledge of the truth, the universal and perennial truth. And you will ask yourself, how is it possible that I dare to speak about the truth, something that supposedly is so untouchable, that it doesn't exist if it is absolute, that it's relative, as the perverse dialecticians of this planet say? It is not so. The truth is simple, clear, and diaphanous. Like this sun is lighting me right now. That is true, undeniable, natural, simple. This is the truth that is found in the knowledge that the Ancient of Days has brought to us through his prophets. This is the truth contained in the logic of logic. And that is why I have to tell you that all the content of the truth that nowadays humankind needs to know and understand is centered in the Christ, in the Ancient of Days, in the Jesus who came with that name when he was here for the first time, and the one who said would come with a new name. This universal and perennial truth that we must know, Landak deciphered, speaks to us in this way. Remember this name, so that you can investigate it yourself, so that you can kindle your inner voice, so that you can develop your mental lucidity. Brother, listen to the name. Ram Redam is the name. Ram Redam, that's the name. That great name and man you will remember. You will have to investigate everything you can about his life and his actions, since the origin of the great man and the temple that you are seeing now, the great master, began here. Temple of all wisdom and knowledge. Temple where the eternal truth illuminates and burns all the men who seek it. I have given knowledge because knowing is my name. I have spoken truth because I am the truth, and all the things are contained in me, and power is my name. And I have been with you in the beginning, and I will be with you until the end. When Jesus was here, he said it in other words. When he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And you have to understand, all of you who listen and search within the logic of logic for the answers that you haven't been able to find in the world, that in order to understand this truth, you must move away and separate it completely from the religious dogmas of this earth, since, as I have been explaining to you, it has absolutely nothing to do with religions. Only if you understand it within the dimension of the universal, as an individual, and with the identity that you have, you will be able to understand it and reach it. And thus, it will be revealed before your eyes that the truth that in this world we have been taught as truth is completely false. It's a big lie. Judge yourself with logic and intelligence what the protocols of the elders of science say. Those of these Jewish people, in whose records they revealed how they need us to believe in the truth that they sell to us. For the Goyim, not Jews, let us play the principal part which we have persuaded them to accept as the dictates of science theory, each with this object in view that we are constantly, by means of our press, arousing a blind confidence in these theories. The intellectuals of the Goyim will path themselves after knowledge, and without any logical verification of them, will put into effect all the information available from science, which our danger specialists have cunningly pieced together for the purpose of educating their minds in the direction we want. Then suppose for a moment that these statements are empty words. Think carefully of the successes we arranged for Darwinism, Marxism, Nietzscheism, and yes, how they have managed to deceive. Even in academies and schools, they are still teaching that the humankind comes from the monkey. They continue teaching the theories that educated professionals of today, based on what Marx, Hegel, Engels, Nietzsche, and all these perverse ones, precursors of philosophy and dialectics, said, that had never offered real answer to anyone. They are only confusion and doubt and conjectures to deceive and confuse, since this humanity has blindly believed in this as an irrefutable truth, only because it comes from these wise and knowledgeable who are neither wise nor understanding of anything, only in their perverse dialectic. That is the only thing they understand. But they don't understand or know, nor can they explain the light of the truth that is taught here. The truth of the Christ is not dialectics. It is not full of rare and elaborate conjectures that generates confusion and ambiguity. It is easy, it's simple, and there is no a particle of its truth within what it is that doesn't contribute to the intellectual and spiritual development of the person who understands it. And that is a great method of verification to separate and compare the eternal truth that is universal and perennial with the truth of this world that certainly doesn't contribute to the spiritual development of the humankind. On the contrary, it contributes to its intellectual degeneration, to its spiritual deterioration. Most compelling evidence is the humanity with the chaos that exists in this moment. Then, understanding and interpreting the universal and perennial knowledge of the truth, which is the Christ and that is within each one of us, is what generates the overwhelming desire to communicate it and spread it. And this is how the following part of this code can be understood. Therefore, truth expands itself as knowledge is rodent, and as the humankind acquires knowledge, it expands itself to the size of the universe. And this part of the code is very simple. It means that all those who manage to understand and find the truth of the universal and perennial knowledge of the Christ they have inside are transformed. They cannot simply stand still. They don't accept that their life is relegated to what this world offers them. They don't. They understand and feel that they came to something more powerful, to fulfillment. As many of you at this moment feel that you came for something greater than being born, growing, reproducing, dying, and achieving what you can most in this season during your lifetime. And if you feel it in your heart, then it's as a sign that you are part of the fulfillment of the Ancient of Days. But you lack knowledge. You need to know yourselves. The logic of logic is the path that leads you to reach that precise point. The full knowledge of the universe that is inside of you. And it's there when your fulfillment is triggered, which is contained in the next and last part of this code of the logic. This, it largely depends on the development of the comprehension in those who are searching for the truth. They can help with their positive attitudes to the gestation of future events by strengthening its salvational effect. Otherwise, they can suppress it with their prejudices, ignorance, and mental narrowness by turning it into the contrary effect, distraction and poison. And that's a powerful effect of understanding the universal and perennial knowledge. Those who understand it are the ones who generate the positive attitudes that generate the events to come. And all these events are already demarcated within the prophecy for the final time. And men and women like you who understand these words of logic are those who represent the true hope for this humanity. There all the religions that offer salvation are left behind because the salvation they offer doesn't exist. It is simply not real, but you are real indeed. And the attitudes and the events that you generate yourselves are also real. That is why at this moment, many who already understand this knowledge are knowing and assimilating the prophecy to know and feel the moment of its full fulfillment. There will be many others, and this is inevitable, that don't understand these simple words of logic and truth. There will be many, but they will not be enough to stop those people of the final fulfillment who understand the truth of the Christ that they create inside of themselves. Many of you who hear me today already have the knowledge of the 7 seals of the Ancient of Days. These are the proof of His love for us. If so, what do we expect? We're going to just take those coming events. We no longer have to exhaust ourselves more in fights and judgments. We just have to focus on embodying those 7 seals, making them alive inside of us, and fulfilling the Father's will, which begins by loving one another. I am the new child, a design of my Lord Ancient of Days, and I get up at this time to call you with logic, the power of the final trumpet.